Starts now with your forecast first.
Good Saturday night, everyone. Overcast skies still in the Champlain Valley. Currently, we are in the upper 70s, still near 80 degrees at this hour. That dew point in the upper 60s. It's feeling very humid outside. We're seeing, luckily, a fairly quiet forecast with those temperatures mainly in the 70s. 71 currently in Newport, 75 in St. Jay and Plattsburgh, and for you in Rutland, a degree warmer in Bennington at 76. So our radar has been on the active side earlier this afternoon. We've now seen most of that rainfall shift up towards Montreal. We're going to watch that actually move out of the region. I'm going to time out a hot and humid forecast as well as we head into tomorrow in just a few minutes. Local 44 News starts now.
You're watching local news that matters. This is Local 44 News at 10.
Good evening and thank you for joining us on your Saturday night. I'm Jolie Sherman. Attorney General Letitia James announced today that Johnson & Johnson has agreed to pay $230 million to New York State to settle claims that the pharmaceutical giant helped fuel the opioid crisis. The drug maker also agreed to end the manufacturing and distribution of opioids across New York and the rest of the nation. The deal involves a lawsuit James filed in 2019. It removes J&J from a trial that's slated to begin next week in Long Island. It's part of a slew of litigation over an epidemic linked to 500,000 deaths in the last 20 years. In the Granite State, a bill to move up the date of New Hampshire's state primary elections is headed to Governor Chris Sununu's desk. However, it's not clear yet if he'll sign it. While the Granite State is known for its first-in-the-nation presidential primary every 4 years, its state primary, held in September, is one of the nation's latest. The House and Senate on Thursday gave final approval on a bill to change that date to the first Tuesday in August. It would start during the 2024 election cycle. Sununu says he wants to speak with Secretary of State Bill Gardner before making a decision. Gardner opposes the change. In Crime Watch tonight, Vermont State Police are looking for two men who walked away from a crash in Georgia this afternoon. When police arrived at the scene, no one was in the vehicle. EMTs say the men were walking away from the crash towards Middle Road. One appeared to be stumbling. State troopers searched the area but didn't find anyone connected to the crash. It's still under investigation. A hot air balloon crashed in New Mexico earlier today. Police say 5 people are dead. The Federal Aviation Administration says the balloon hit power lines in Albuquerque. That caused the basket to fall nearly 100 feet before catching on fire. The crash also caused 13,000 homes to lose power. Rescue crews are still investigating the situation. A newly released report details extensive structural damage that had been recorded at the Florida condo building years before it collapsed this week. More than 100 people are still unaccounted for. Lauren Blanchard has the latest from Surfside, Florida.
Officials here are holding out hope as the search for survivors enters day 3. Crews are working around the clock to find anyone still trapped in what remains of the 12-story building.
Our top priority now continues to be search and rescue. We're looking for people alive in the rubble. That is our priority.
Search and rescue teams are using dogs, infrared, and heavy equipment looking for any potential pockets in the rubble where someone could still be alive. A fire smoldering underneath the wreckage has been hindering their efforts.
As we continue removing debris, the smoke has been picking up. As I stated earlier, we're also dealing with a deep-seated fire. A smoldering fire, but obviously producing a large amount of smoke.
A newly released report from an engineering consulting firm found major structural damage to the building back in 2018. The report found water damage from the pool deck had severely deteriorated several concrete slabs beneath the building. A lawyer for the building's condo board says major repairs were in the works for this year. Now there are concerns about the condo's sister building right down the street.
It was built at the same time with the same designer, and I know they are considering potentially evacuating them.
Investigators have yet to determine an official cause for the building collapse. They say the process could take months. In Surfside, Florida, Lauren Blanchard.
A tragic situation there in Surfside. For many Americans, the government's report on UFOs released earlier this week has raised more questions than answers. Dozens of UFO sightings remain a mystery, even to the government. Lucas Tomlinson has more from the nation's capital.
This UFO report is likely to leave many people unsatisfied. The evidence is largely inconclusive. U.S. government says it has little explanation for 143 sightings since 2004. The unclassified report from the Director of National Intelligence warns these unidentified objects, quote, clearly pose a safety of flight issue and may pose a challenge to U.S. national security. These observations could be the result of sensor errors, spoofing, or observer misperception and require additional rigorous analysis. This recently declassified video from a Navy fighter jet 6 years ago off the coast of Florida reignited the public's interest in UFOs.
Oh my gosh! They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude. It's rotating. Oh my gosh, dude. Wow, look at it fly.
Texas Congressman Brian Babin weighed in.
I'm of the opinion that simply as the report says, we don't have enough data. Is it extraterrestrials? I don't know. I sure hope not. I can tell you that.
Senator Marco Rubio, who pushed for this report, says it's just the first step. The Defense Department and intelligence community have a lot of work to do before we can actually understand whether these aerial threats present a serious national security concern. Adam Schiff wants to know if these flying objects are a work of a foreign adversary, space debris, or something else entirely. Those who believe in aliens are likely to remain hopeful. There's also a classified version of this report. In Washington, Lucas Tomlinson.
Today, members of more than 50 civil rights, voter rights, and racial justice organizations held a rally in support of making Washington, D.C. the 51st state. The rally came at the tail end of the Freedom Ride for Voting Rights, an event organized by the group Black Voters Matter. Former Washington, D.C. Mayor Sharon Pratt has long advocated for statehood for our nation's capital. She says it's only fair.
The reason I fight for it is because I'm tired of living in a community that supports this federal government each and every day, pays the highest per capita rate of taxes anywhere in the United States. It is unfair and it is unjust. And it is unfair just not to us, but to all of you, because we do not have a Senate that represents America.
Organizers say the rally was the first major demonstration advocating for D.C. statehood and organized by national organizations and local advocates. The Vermont Housing and Conservation Board was awarded more than $168 million in state and federal funds to provide more housing across the state. The board expects to use this money over the next 2 years to speed up the development process. They're also looking to better protect farmland and other natural areas. Additionally, the board plans to get more than $9 million in ARPA funding to house those experiencing homelessness. Coming up, find out just how well this year's Toyota RAV4 TRD handles off-road in this week's Car Report. And worried about going gray? Why some rest and relaxation may be all you need to keep gray at bay.
This is Local 44 News with Mike Hoey, meteorologist Dylan DeBruin, and sports with Frank DeLuca. Local news that matters on Local 44 News.
In Consumer Matters tonight, an SUV ready to take you off-road. Gary Gastelou takes a look at how the Toyota RAV4 TRD performs on paths other than pavement.
The Toyota RAV4 may not be the best-selling off-road SUV, but the best-selling SUV is now available in a model designed to go off-road. The Toyota RAV4 is the most popular vehicle in America that's not a pickup, and this new TRD off-road version was designed to make it a little more rugged, like a pickup. To do that, it gets an extra half-inch of ground clearance, some underbody protection, these big chunky all-terrain tires that are also good in very deep snow, plus a retuned suspension with these nifty red springs that gives it a better ride and more durability on unpaved roads. It also has hill descent control and an all-wheel drive system programmed to be better suited on slippery surfaces, plus a number of modes to cover them all. All-weather mats cover the floors and cargo area, and the tall roof rails can handle a wide variety of racks. The $37,000 TRD off-road comes with the RAV4 standard 203 horsepower four-cylinder engine and is essentially a $2,625 evolution of the RAV4 Adventure that also adds a standard moonroof, power lift gate, and can be equipped with an optional 360-degree camera to help you squeeze into tight spots and parking spaces. It doesn't give up much on-road refinement for its extra off-road capability, but is more Subaru Outback than Toyota 4Runner, and best treated like a hybrid bicycle or maybe an adventure motorcycle. You can take it off pavement, but probably want to stick to the dirt roads instead of the rocky ones. In the 2021 Toyota RAV4 TRD Off-Road, Gary Gastelou.
Feeling stressed? Well, try to relax. Seriously, because it's shown to cause graying hair, but you can reverse it. This was a new study published in the journal eLife. But relaxing can actually reverse the trend. Researchers from Columbia University analyzed hair in 14 volunteers. They say stress in hair is like rings in a tree, noting a correlation between times of stress and times of graying. They also found periods of relaxation coincided with gray hair growing out dark. Fishing is free this weekend in the Empire State. Governor Andrew Cuomo made this announcement today. The state enjoys 6 free fishing days every year, where both New Yorkers and out-of-staters can cast their rods without a fishing license. All other fishing regulations remain in place. If you haven't gone fishing yet this year, no fear. Head outside and fish for free on National Hunting and Fishing Day in September and on Veterans Day in November. Coming up in sports, Canadiens coach Dom Ducharme is still under COVID protocol. Find out when he can return behind the Montreal bench.
Rainfall's moved out of here. We are looking at a sunny, hot, and humid forecast as we wrap up the weekend. I'll let you know when you may want that rain gear again, though, coming up.
Local news that matters on Local 44 News.